Hey everyone, thanks for tuning in. This is my review of WandaVision Episode 7. Before we get started, I just want to say, is it just me, or when you read reviews or watch reviews of shows or episodes that you just watched and it's 90% a recap, it's just really annoying? It's like I'm not reading the review to just get told what I just saw. Please, I want the commentary, the review, what you liked, what you didn't like, what I may have missed because you are a much deeper Marvel nerd than I am. Whatever it is, I don't want you to just recap the episode's events. We all get that. We already know what those are. Anyway, you won't be getting any recaps. So let's go ahead and get right to the review. As usual, before I go into the things that I really liked, let's start off with a couple things that I didn't like, starting with the big reveal of the astrophysicist, which was no reveal at all. It was super disappointing and underwhelming, even though we were kind of alerted a couple days before that Reed Richards wouldn't be the big surprise. It turns out there was no surprise. No matter how you look at it, this was a really big flub on the part of the writers, because even if they weren't meaning to hype up some big cameo or big introduction to a new character like a Reed Richards, by mentioning it 2 or 3 times beforehand, my astrophysicist friend, what did they expect was going to happen? But even leaving that aside, and we can assume, oh, they just didn't realize that that was going to get picked up on, they should have, within the confines of the story that they created, they should have known it was a mistake, because they are giving us the impression that this is going to be something not necessarily important, just that she went out of her way to say, I need to go to my astrophysicist friend. She's going to give me this device, this key piece of technology, whatever it was, that's going to help us. Well, that was a huge waste, because it failed, and it failed right away. There was no, it would have been, we would have missed nothing within the story if that had never happened, right? It was an unnecessary buildup for something that wasn't going to work. And so it was really a double mistake. First, you have this character show up that I'd never seen before and is brand new apparently, but if you were like me, you're like, wait, who is this? Is this someone I'm supposed to know? Is this someone from the Shield show? Is this, like, who is this character? Is it someone from the comics I've never heard of? I don't think it was any of those things. I think it was just a random person. Maybe she has a place in the comics. If you know, please let me know. But so that was a waste. And then within the story, it was a waste. Just imagine if they'd done something like this, where they kept it within the characters they have. So let's say it had been Darcy that suggested, oh, I have an idea. I have a technology that I'm working on. I have a machine that I'm working on. Let me get that. Maybe even let me call my astrophysicist friend. And then you have a cameo. You have Jane Foster come and bring it to her, and we get a tie-in with the next Thor movie. That would have been super cool. But leaving that aside, maybe that was impossible, couldn't have happened. You just have Darcy saying, I need to get this piece of gear, I need to get this equipment, or I have an idea of how we can do this. Except within the story, you have a problem, because, and I think this is why they went to this outside person to begin with, you have to have, right before they use the machine, Darcy has been sucked into the hex. And so you can't have her in 2 places at once. And so she can't be the one operating the machine. But that created a huge opportunity. Instead of bringing in this outside person, you have Darcy get the equipment, set it up, it's all ready to roll, but then events are happening. She needs to go back and get something. She forgot, maybe, Hayward's going to find out that they've been snooping. Whatever it is, you create a reason for her to go back, and then the hex expands. She gets caught up. And now you have Jimmy and Monica, and they're like, what are we going to do? Darcy's the one that knows how to operate this machine. And that gives you an opportunity to learn more about their characters, to have them react to the situation and act on their own. And, you know, maybe Monica's like, well, we just have to do it. We have to go in and we'll figure out how to make it work. And maybe Jimmy's like, oh, we should wait. We don't know what we're doing. This could blow up. She already mentioned that, you know, going back in is dangerous. Then you have this like push and pull between these two characters, and we're learning who they are within the given set of circumstances. We're not relying on some third party from outside the story that has nothing to do with the story. And when it doesn't work, when it fails, the reason is built in. It failed because Darcy wasn't there to operate it, and something goes wrong, and because she's pushing ahead, and so she's being heroic, but it's also a mistake or dangerous, and then, you know, then she goes in and gets her powers. It happens the rest of the way like the story. We're not adding anything to the storytelling. We don't need any extra scenes. It's all built in what they've already constructed, except it's relying on the characters themselves to push you through these difficulties. That would have been just one example of how they could have done it better. Obviously, it would have been even better if they just had Reed Richards show up. That was obviously not in the cards, but it was just a huge, underwhelming mistake that they could have avoided. The other big problem, I've already mentioned it in previous videos, acting director Hayward. What a non-essential dud of a character. I defy any of you to point out even one piece of compelling, original character, you know, attribute, trait, idea coming from him that we haven't seen a million times before. He's just so dull and you know, unessential to what's going on, other than obviously he's serving this important plot function. And if you are going to have this, you know, B antagonist to go against the B heroes, make him interesting, make him matter, make why is he acting like this? And it may be that we find out a reason in the end. Maybe he's a Skrull, or maybe like any, you know, maybe he has some nefarious, maybe he's Hydra, maybe any of the possibilities. It's not going to matter because he is such a uninteresting character to this point that the reveal will not be interesting. Even if it's an interesting reveal, it will have been wasted because we created this character for the reveal to happen through that was not interesting. Okay, let's just end my rant about acting director Hayward right there. I think we've said enough on that subject. Let's transition into what I did like about this episode, and that has to begin and probably end with just how amazing Kathryn Hahn is, and it was just great to finally see her big reveal, even though it wasn't surprising, that reveal. We were in fact expecting it from before the show even started. It's still just the way they handled it, and how we got the flashback of all her, you know, moments, from all those moments from her perspective. And we had the Harry Potter moment where, if you remember, I don't even remember which movie it was, but where Hermione is at the Quidditch match in the stands, and something's happening, something's wrong with Harry, and she sees that Snape is maybe casting some kind of curse on him, and she interferes. And then of course it turns out that it wasn't Snape doing the curse, but he was helping Harry and someone else was cursing him. That we had that similar moment as we went through the montage of all the moments from the previous episodes from her perspective, and we're seeing how she's manipulating events, and especially with the way they did it with the sitcom kind of song tone. You know, it was the music. It was all a really great moment for, you know, Kathryn Hahn. I could do a whole episode just on how awesome I think she is, from the first time I ever saw her in anything in Step Brothers, and then there's Jen Barkley on Parks and Rec, and just basically anytime she's in a short movie, it's just, you know, I love it. She's just the best. And so it's just great to finally see, her get to have her moment. And now I'm really looking forward to seeing, the last two episodes and the face off between Agnes and do we know for a fact that it's Agatha? Did she say that, or am I just assuming that? And I'm just looking forward to seeing, the face-off between these two great actors and these two great characters. I think the climactic episodes are going to be really good. And that's the main thing that I really liked about this episode. I thought Vision just continues to be outstanding, and the whole family dynamic with um, Wanda and the kids, and I just really am digging all of everything else. And if I haven't pointed out how much I didn't like it, I probably am really enjoying it. So let's look ahead and to what I predict will happen in the last two episodes. Um, Up until this point, I've been predicting that the conceit of the sitcom was going to have to end because we're running out of decades and Modern Family, we just can't go beyond that, right? Except now I'm predicting that for next episode, we are going to get a sitcom theme and an opening, but it's going to be with Agnes or Agatha as the main character. And that could be done in a lot of ways. It could be an Addams Family tribute, or it really could be anything. And I'm really looking forward to whatever it is to see how that's going to play out. But I definitely think we're going to get, one more week of the sitcom trope. Another thing that I'm not really predicting it, but I would think it would be cool if we saw it. You know how even in WandaVision you have at the beginning of each episode previously on, and so far it's just been kind of a standard Disney Plus type of opening. I would love to see some kind of, especially for the last episode where we've done all the sitcoms and we just start with kind of a more of a satirical previously on that makes fun of or pays tribute to some of the best previously on conventions that we see in other shows. I don't really think that that's gonna happen, but I think it would be cool. And finally, two last predictions slash just remaining questions that I expect, almost certainly are going to get answered in these last two episodes. One, what's the deal with Pietro? Obviously, there's a lot of chatter online that maybe he's Mephisto, and that's definitely a possibility with all of the hell references from last week. But it also would be kind of a big reveal, especially for a character that I think most people aren't familiar with. Although, the devil, everyone knows the devil, so who knows? It just seems like it would be late at this point, but whatever happens, we're obviously going to find out what is the deal with Pietro. And my main prediction along those lines is that whatever they had originally planned, based on all of the, tremendous acclaim that his reinsertion into the MCU, I guess not even reinsertion, his first initial insertion of this X-Men character from the X-Men movies into the MCU. Obviously, that was, amazing. And I expect that whatever they had originally planned, even if he really is supposed to be Mephisto or some other character or just like a creation of Agatha, I think that moving forward, this version of Pietro is going to have a place in the MCU, and he will be the first of the mutants. And finally, just who's Ralph? We're going to have to find out. I don't really have a good idea. I know Kevin Smith predicted maybe he's the Mephisto, or maybe he's Senior Scratchy. And so, yeah, that's a possibility. But really, it could be Ralph could be anybody. But they've been setting it up from episode one. She's been referring to Ralph, and he hasn't been on screen at all. And so it's going to be interesting to find out who Ralph is and what role he has to play in all of this. So those are my predictions. Again, overall, really liked the episode. Two pretty big exceptions in this case, but still really looking forward to these two climactic episodes and how it's all going to get resolved, how it's going to lead into the future of the MCU. So I can't wait, and I hope that we get the hour-long episodes we were promised this week. I was kind of disappointed. I think it was only like 35 minutes. So yeah, I hope we do get the full hours for the last two episodes. And other than that, I'm just really looking forward to how this all plays out. And I'm guessing you are too. Please, share your thoughts in the comments. And if you like this review, please like and subscribe to my channel. Thanks a lot for tuning in, and hopefully I'll see you again next time.